You're watching Philosophical Roast, today's brew. Extra light roast. The Kalam Cosmological Argument. Dr. Shaym debunked.
The universe had a beginning does not equal God did it. If we don't know the cause of something, that doesn't give you license to say God did it. If we were to just throw up our hands and say God did it anytime we didn't understand something, we wouldn't have any science at all. If you're going to try to cram God into the unknown, you will find that the space he occupies is constantly getting smaller. There was a time when we didn't know what caused rain, and people said it came from God. But then we found out what caused rain, and people stopped saying that. In fact, every single time we have found out what the actual cause for something is, the cause is always proven to be something naturalistic, and never a god. If you're going to attribute the unknown to God, I could just as easily attribute it to Zeus. Somebody else could attribute it to Odin, and so on. The fact that anything exists cannot be used as evidence for the biblical God any more than it can be used for any other deity. I could say the universe was created by the flying spaghetti monster, and it would make just as much sense.
The first three objections are just a refutation of the God of the gaps fallacy. The God of the gaps fallacy is indeed a poor reason to believe in God. However, the Kalam cosmological argument is an argument for a cause of the universe having the certain properties indicative of God. As a deductive argument, if one is to reject the conclusion, one must identify which premise is rejected and on what basis. Complaints don't hold more weight than sound logical inference.
If you're going to argue that the universe needed a cause, then why doesn't God need a cause?
First of all, these questions don't refute any of the premises of the Kalam cosmological argument, it's just another complaint. Secondly, no premise in the Kalam cosmological argument claims that everything needs a cause. Thirdly, how do you suppose an eternal being could have a cause? Fourthly, God, being a metaphysically necessary being, is not contingent, and therefore cannot have a cause.
Where did he come from?
Firstly, no premise in the Kalam cosmological argument claims that God came from somewhere. Secondly, as the creator of the universe, God created space, which implies there was no space logically prior to the beginning of the universe, hence, nowhere to come from.
Who created him?
Firstly, no premise in the Kalam cosmological argument claims that God was created. Secondly, God, being a metaphysically necessary being, is not contingent, and therefore cannot be created.
If he just always existed, then why can't the same be said about the state the universe was in before it expanded in the Big Bang? That's special pleading.
It's a logical contradiction to assume the universe could exist before it existed, or to assume time could exist forever before time began to exist.
You can't really apply cause and effect logic to the universe itself. Causality is a property of time, and time as we understand it did not exist until after the universe came to be, so for all we know, the universe might not have had a cause.
Examples of simultaneous causation prove otherwise.
Even if the universe had a cause, why does it necessarily have to be an intelligent creator? There's no reason to suppose that couldn't have been some as yet unknown naturalistic cause.
If nature exists inside the universe, then it would be logically fallacious to assume nature could cause the universe. This would mean that nature would have to exist before it existed so that it could bring itself into existence, which is metaphysically impossible.
As a matter of fact, you can have something come from nothing. See quantum fluctuations.
Quantum fluctuations don't come from nothing, they come from the quantum vacuum, which is a system having a rich physical substructure supporting a vast sea of roiling energy.
As an ancillary point, even if you managed to prove irrefutably that there was an intelligent designer, that still wouldn't prove your religion to be true. Not only would you still have to prove that it was the particular God you believe in, but you would also still have to prove that such a God is still present and influencing the universe today. You would still have to prove that such a God is interested in us and our actions, and you'd have to prove that such a God is actually rewarding or punishing us based on our actions. Now, the discovery that the universe was designed would advance our scientific understanding by immeasurable leaps and bounds, but simply proving that a deity of some kind existed at some point does next to nothing to prove the veracity of your religion's myths, nor does it lend any credence to your religion's dogma. And the fact that there are logical errors and factual absurdities in your scripture indicates that your religion would most likely be wrong anyway, so it's basically futile.
Most cosmological arguments are arguments for classical theism, not religious particularism, so this objection is simply misconceived. Looks like that was all the objections lodged in that video. Thanks for watching. Until next roast.